Planting this cutting should be fairly easy. I'll just put my drainage screens in the bottom of the pot, fill it with soil, and then I'll kind of rotate my cutting into the soil until it's stable. I'll show you the maker's stamp on the bottom of the pot. If anyone can identify this pot, I'll look for it in the comments below the video. I'm going to pick this as the front of the pot. The lip here is nice and straight in this view. On the other side, or the back side, it has a slight wave to it. So this is the nicer side of the pot, so I'll make that the front. I'll fill the pot with bonsai soil now. So here I go. I'll level the soil with a spoon. Next, I have to put the cutting in the soil. The cutting is quite one-sided. You can see all the growth is on this side. So when it's in the pot, I'll put this side towards the sun. So the sun will be shining on this side. So we'll get some branching coming out this side of the tree. So I'm just looking to see if there's a good front. I mean, this is a pretty good front right here. The trouble with that, this front view is that this branch comes straight towards the viewer. So I want to offset that a bit. Yeah, maybe somewhere around here. So we're kind of looking in at that branch isn't coming straight out. And I don't know about positioning the pot. I'll probably just put it in the middle for now. That'll give the roots, lots of room to grow. We'll see if there's... I'll offset it just slightly, maybe it off to here. And I'm going to bury it quite deep to about there. See how that looks. If you ever want to make a tree look small, put it in a giant pot like this. It looks like a little tiny stick in here. And this is quite a large cutting. I'm looking now at the front of the tree, and I can definitely see a few problems. There's quite a few branches that I'm not 100% happy with. I've got, beside the main trunk here, there's another branch that's kind of running parallel to it, which doesn't look very good. I don't like the one branch that's coming out on an angle here. It's kind of interfering with this lower branch. If I were to cut that part of that upright part of the lower branch off, it would probably look a little better, or at least if I shorten that. So I think I'll do that, because I don't really want to remove the branch that's coming on an angle here. So I think that would look better if I prune that one back shorter. So I'll do that now. And I'll take it off fairly short to about here. There's another good cutting. Okay, that's an improvement. I mean, it's certainly not perfection at this stage. I've got a couple of branches that are crisscrossing in this area, so I'm going to have to shorten the one. So I'll shorten this one back to here. Like that. Hopefully, that back branch is kind of a little strange back here, but hopefully I'll get something going out towards the back of the tree, and I can kind of replace what's there with something in a better position. I'm not really happy over on this side. There's a fairly upright branch there that I don't really like it being that long, so I'm going to shorten that one also. And I'll take that off to here, like that. Now, I have the apex here. There's two branches competing, two upright branches competing there. So I think I'll have to take that upright one off. Yes, indeed. like that. Now at the apex of the tree, I have what's called bar branches. I have a branch here on the right-hand side and a branch on the left-hand side that are coming out from the same spot. That never looks very good. I have a branch on the left side, and then further up I have a branch on the right side, so it would make sense to take this one off. So I'll do that. Like that. I think I'm going to have to take off. Behind the main trunk, there's that vertical part of that back branch. I think I've got to take that off too, so I'll do that. Like that. So that's looking a little better. I mean, it's not perfect yet. It's the kind of, it's a preliminary pruning. As the tree develops in the future, I'll get more branching, more branch selection. I can remove branches, replace them with better ones, and slowly refine the tree over time. I am going to give it a slight watering. I think, that cutting has been hardened off for almost 4 weeks now. So I can give the soil a watering, and that'll keep it at a nice humidity level to grow new roots. If this cutting was just freshly taken off a plant and the bottom was green, you definitely would want that cut to dry out before you planted and watered it. But this one is dried out really nicely, so I can water it. So here I go. This soil will hold a lot of moisture, but it's a good draining soil, so I don't think I'll have any problems with this cutting rotting or anything. I probably won't water this for another maybe a week or two. I'll just miss the top of the cutting a bit. Okay, I think that's pretty good. It's running out the drainage holes now. The cutting is quite firm in the pot, but I will place some stones around it just to make sure, if I accidentally bump the pot or something, that it's still held in here securely. And I can remove these stones once the plant starts growing again with some vigor. So there, that's held in there really nicely. So I can put it on the bench, keep it in good sunshine, and hopefully it'll all start to fill in with new branches and leaves. The next tree I'll be working on is repotting this little jade. Hong was giving out cuttings at a club meeting many years ago, probably 10 years ago, and this jade is one of those cuttings. The tree is nice and healthy, the leaves are nice and big and green. So the first thing I'll do is prune back the structure. I won't defoliate it, but I'll just prune it back. So here I go. I'll basically be shortening the branches to the first set of leaves, or the second, depending on the direction of the leaves. In most cases, I'll go to the first set of leaves, just to keep the plant really compact. I think I'll take this one off entirely. I don't like the direction it's been growing. Like that. Just this one back to here. We can come back to here. And back to here. So that's nice and compact for the crown. The leaves are quite big, but the new ones will come in a little smaller. The next step will be to get the tree out of the pot. And this pot has kind of a curved side on it, so it won't be easy to get it out because the roots may have filled the container and the roots may be a little wider than the lip of the pot here. So sometimes these kind of pots aren't the easiest to get the tree out, but it looks like it's coming okay. There we go. This tree was in pure turfus, which I found isn't very good for growing trees. The turfus tends to clump up and it dries out, and it's really hard to rehydrate. Even if you soak it under water, it seems to get these dry spots that just, never rehydrate properly. So I've found by mixing the perlite or pumice with it, with the turfus, that it works really well. But I found that, you know, just using straight turfus doesn't work out so well as a soil. I think you need the different particles just to break up that water tension or something. I don't know. So one thing I've always wondered with a jade is, can you get that nice surface roots, like a radial root spread on the surface of a jade or a succulent? I think you can. I think it's just a matter of, you know, growing the roots out so they become woody and slowly exposing them to the surface. So that's what I'm going to try for on all my jades, is to get, you know, a nice radial set of roots on the surface of the soil. If I can. I don't know if it's possible. You don't really see too many jades with surface roots, so we'll try it. So it's got quite a fine network of roots down here. Here's the original drainage screen. A lot of these roots are just kind of falling off. So you can see here, even though the soil's all watered around here, there's a dry spot in here that's, you know, never really gotten any water. So that's why I don't use turfus by itself anymore. It just doesn't seem to work out very well. I'm just kind of teasing the roots out. So you can see the bottom. That's the bottom of the cutting. Still intact and still in good shape. So I'll tease the soil out as much as I can. I don't want to break off all the roots. The roots are fairly fragile on a jade. The pot that this jade was in doesn't do anything for the tree. The color doesn't match anything. It doesn't match the leaves. It doesn't match the trunk. So I'll try and find a better color, and it might be that one that I found outside earlier today. I picked out 3 possible pots. There's this hexagonal one, there's a rectangular one, and there's a larger round one. This one isn't a bad size. The root ball fits in there quite nicely. It's a possibility. This one's also a good size and a good possibility. This one is probably a little large. It could work with a cheetah here as, you know, a bit of a landscape. I'll have to decide how I want to go, if I want a landscape type planting or just the tree in the pot. I'll come down here at eye level and I'll just check each tree. It does look nice in this pot, this rectangular pot. The color is really good. It matches the bark really nicely. It's a nice size. If I offset it slightly, it looks quite good in that pot. The hexagonal one, it looks quite good, but I have to have the tree fairly centered in the pot, and it doesn't look, it just looks like a tree in a flower pot. It doesn't work as well for me as this rectangular one did. With this rectangular one, I could still have my cheetah standing on the soil here. So that's probably a good pot to use. This pot is a really nice pot. It was made by Eldon Lease. He was one of the founding members of the KW Bonsai Society. I think this pot would work if I want to grow this tree larger, but I don't really want to grow it larger. I'm quite happy to keep it a small tree, so I think this would be too much pot for this size of tree. So I think it's going to be this rectangular pot that I planted in. Yeah, there's no markings on the bottom of the pot, so I don't know where it came from or who made it. It does look like a handmade pot though. It's definitely not a factory pot. I'm all ready to repot the tree. My biggest problem is I don't have any soil mixed up. So I think I'll have to steal some from this planting, from the edge, and then when I mix up some soil next time I can replace it. I'll just steal enough to fill this small pot. I think that's a good height for the bottom layer of soil. So I can place the tree on top there now. And I'll find the front of the tree, which I think somewhere about here. Now I will have to do a little bit of root pruning. Not a whole lot though. I'll just trim off these roots that are sticking out over the pot. A little more soil now. I've come out front now and I'm checking the composition, and I'm not really liking it too much. I don't like the way the tree is leaning over to this side, so I'm going to try and fix that. The tree is as low as it can get in the pot, so I think I just have to put more soil on this side and maybe mound it up just a little bit. I'm wondering if it's too far over to the right hand side in the pot. Yeah, even with the leopard there, it looks a little too far over to the right hand side. It just looks a bit jammed in the corner there. So let's move the whole tree over a bit. That's looking better. It still seems like it could use a little straightening though. So I think what I have to do is pull the tree out. I've got to trim that. The original trunk of the cutting goes down and hits the bottom of the pot. I can't lower the tree anymore, and I can't really angle it anymore because the roots on this side just stick up too much out of the pot. So I've got to fix this. So I'm taking it right out. There's that part that's sticking down too far and hitting the bottom of the pot. So I've got to take that off. So here I go. I'll use my big loppers and we'll just come in and take a slice like that. So you can see all the original roots are still in place up top. So there's the slice I took off. Now that could be air dried. I don't think it'll cause a problem because I'll keep the soil quite dry. And it has all these roots that are feeding the tree. So I think it'll use the moisture in the soil. I don't think that'll cause a problem with rotting. So I think this will allow me to position the tree into the pot in a position I like now. I've repositioned the tree now. It looks better, definitely looks better. I may rotate it slightly just to get a little more movement in the trunk. It's very subtle, but there is some movement there. I think I have to prune this apex down a bit. It's sticking up too high. I think it's as good as it can look. It looks a bit strange to me for some reason, and maybe it's just that pot. Maybe an oval-shaped pot would suit it better. It just, I don't know. It's just so different looking in that pot. Okay, I'll start filling in the soil now, covering the roots and working it in. I'm glad I removed that big part that was sticking down in the soil. The tree is a better height in the pot now, for sure. I'll give the tree a watering just to settle the soil down in around the roots. Yeah, that seems really good. The tree's nice and firm in there. I will add a rock just to hold it in place. I had some of these rocks left over from my Mars landscape, so I've put those around the tree and it's holding it really well. That's it for the work on the jades today. I'm still having a hard time getting used to this in a rectangular pot. Maybe an oval-shaped pot would look better. It just, I don't know, it just looks a little strange to me. Maybe I'll get used to it. So now it's time for today's update. Today's update is my Ficus microcarpa bonsai. I repotted it a couple of videos back, and it's just starting to get its new leaves in. Here's a shot of the upper canopy. You can see it's got some new leaves coming in here. Over here, there's all kinds of new buds and shoots all over the top of the tree. I'll give the tree a misting and then put it back on the bench. It's time now for viewers' picks. Today's viewers' picks are sent in by Lyle from Florida in the United States. He has a Portulacaria afra, a Bougainvillea bonsai. Here's a ficus he started in 2010, and here it is in 2016 with its leaves on, and here it is defoliated. It looks really good. Here's his growing benches. You can see that Florida sun just peeking through. Heavenly bamboo. Here's a camphor tree growing on top of the stump of a really large old camphor tree. Here's a tiger bark ficus. Here's a night blooming cestrum in a Lego pot. Here's a water jasmine and mondo grass shaped to look like a tree. Thanks, Lyle. Those are great pictures. That's all the work on the Jades today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.